So, someone came to you, and let's say that they had an addiction problem. They're addicted to heroin. Okay, let's pick a real harsh one. And you were to go to them, oh, I'm so sorry, and I feel so bad for what the heroin has done to you. Here, give me a big hug. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You don't deserve to have that heroin ruin your life like this. And, in fact, what can I do to help you and move in with me? And in fact, you can move in and live with me, live rent free. Just keep, and just because you deserve better, and just figure out yourself and figure out what you need to do. Let's say that was your response to your best friend or someone you knew had this addiction. What do you think would happen? Now, I know as I say that triggers a lot of you are listening going, yeah, that sounds like a great response. That's what you should do. You should have sympathy for other people. That's what, you should care about them and let them know you care about them and all this stuff, right? And the problem is, though, if you've ever experienced working with addictions or have had anybody, anybody that you've ever worked with like that, is they usually will go right back to the drug, okay? Usually your sympathetic efforts will just enable them to return back to the thing that they're addicted to. They will continue to do that until it is so painful for them to continue to do that. The pain and the problems have to get to a point where they just don't turn to that. They are motivated to take action to break that addiction and to get out of that heroin problem. That's what, or to use our example. Okay, so that's what they need to do. The pain has to be so great for them, psychologically, emotionally, and even physically and logistically, for them to choose something else. Okay, that is a perfect analogy to when you're trying to help somebody, friend, family, or if you're stuck in this too, to understand yourself. If you're stuck in an abusive relationship, and let's look at even physically abusive relationship. All right. A person who is with a physical abuser has a neurochemical addiction to that relationship at the very least, and more than likely that person. Most abusers build a neurological chemical addiction. Excuse me. Most abusers build that, okay? They don't just punch you in the face on the first date, all right? And if they do and you stay, then there's a serious psychological problem that you have that needs to be addressed by a professional. That's not normally what happens, right? Normally what happens is over time this person manipulates by series of love bombing and great feelings, moving into taking away those feelings in a devaluing phase. And it's a series of giving affection and reward and taking that away till it gets to a point where they have you so neurologically and chemically addicted to them that they know that they can get away with, or most likely will get away with, beating the shit out of you. It's not, and then the abused victim will use a lot of language to give that other person the excuse. Well, they just weren't themselves. They weren't in control. They lost their cool. This has never happened before. It'll never happen again. I mean, gosh, I could. You're not unique, okay? If you're in this circumstance and your friend or family member isn't unique either, this is what they all say. Because, of course, that person didn't hit them before, or of course, you know what I mean? They have these excuses because they're not like that all the time. If they're like that all the time, they wouldn't be in the relationship, right? But again, it's because they're neurologically addicted to that person, so it becomes that excuse to continue with them. Let's not place the blame on them, or, well, I'll say that's their fault, but they really weren't themselves. You see, it's a way of removing that blame. And the reality is, the reason they didn't hit the other person before, the reason why the abuse wasn't so much there before, is because they knew that they couldn't get away with it. These people aren't always smart. They're not always high IQ, so they might not know logically this. It might not be this logical grand scheme or ploy, okay? But they just know feelings-wise internally that that they can't get away with just beating up their significant other, hitting their significant other, right, or their partner. All right, they know that 3 months in, but then they get 6 months in, and there's a series of things that have happened that connection has become greater, but the drama and the toxicity has become more. Usually it's a combination. Okay, it's a combination of more toxicity, however, a bigger dysfunctional connection where they feel like they can take that step, that the moment they decide to raise their hand on the other person, they feel like they can get away with it or take that step. Do you know what I mean? They feel like if they beat this person up, they're going to gain control over them. They're going to gain control of the situation. They're going to get what they want, and that this person's not going to go away. If they thought that they couldn't gain control of the situation, or they couldn't, get this person to do what they want, or if they felt like this person would definitely leave them, then they wouldn't make that choice. Okay? Then afterwards, of course, buyer's remorse after the decision, they may say, oh God, I'll never do that again, and please don't leave me, and they might even beg for you. But the reality is, at the time, in the moment they made that decision, they knew you weren't fucking going anywhere. And then they knew that they could say or do the right thing, and that they would get you to stay. Okay? So the point is, though, if you're going to help somebody get out of the situation, or if you're going to get out of it yourself, making them feel better and offering them sympathy actually won't help them. What that does is it supplies them, okay? It supplies them with the self-esteem, the courage, and the sense of well-being to then continue to go be toxic with this other person, all right? It's not giving them the personal accountability they need. The reality is every person who is in a relationship where they get beat up or they're being abused has made a series of bad choices to put them in that relationship. And they also have a series of choices that they can make to get out of it. We are in a first world country, if we're talking about the United States here, okay, and most of the other civilized parts of the world. You're not a prisoner in your house. It's not like Afghanistan, okay, where people literally women can become prisoners and property. All right, we're talking about a scenario where women have the opportunity. There's no reason for her to stay with an abuser. There's no reason, no amount of financial distress, kids, nothing that means that she has to stay there. Okay, there's help available, and there's a roadmap out of there. The pain has to be great enough for her to want to action that. Okay, not only that, is she has to be empowered enough to realize she has the power to make these decisions to have a better life. She has the ability to get out of the situation. She is not a victim, even though she was victimized. She has the ability to get out, okay? And telling somebody, look, you made a bunch of stupid fucking decisions to be with this person, and you're making stupid decisions now to stay, and so you're better than this, and you need to make better decisions for yourself, that is empowering, even though it's kind of, giving them the cold hard truth and the facts that they are, in fact, to blame for their circumstance to a degree. No one deserves to, of course, get abused or hit, but you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate, you get what you work for, and you get what you tolerate, okay? You get what you tolerate. And so when you're nice to them, when you're sympathetic to them, when you want to white knight them and help them, you're actually not helping them. You're only boosting them up to continue to go get abused, because there's something wrong with them in their self-concept and with their wiring, from their hindbrain to their emotional centers to their logical portions. There's something fucked up trauma-wise that has reframed their sense of worth and value, and reframed actually what they're neurochemically attracted to, okay? And so they're neurochemically attracted to this abusive circumstance and to this abuser. They're not attracted to a healthy scenario. Okay? And so they'll continue to choose bad scenarios. Even if they get out of this one, they'll just choose another shit scenario to be in, unless the pain is so great that they won't ever want to make that choice again. The only way you get there is if you can be supportive to people that need help, but your help is giving them the roadmap out of there. And it's sometimes they don't know how to get out, they can't see their way around it. You can offer them that roadmap, you can offer them advice, but do not shower them with sympathy, because sympathy is going to be their crutch that they use to stay in that relationship. And the fact of the matter is, if they're not, you may have to treat them just like family members. Sometimes have to treat addicts, or if they're not willing to take action to get out of their circumstance, and they're continuing to, coming to you and being what's been called being assholes, right? Where they're asking for advice and wanting to, vent and, shower you with all of the problems that they have and get your sympathy and empathy and get your advice, and then they continue to not action anything in their favor. They continue to run back to the abusive scenario. I mean, there are women who have gotten out of abuse relationships, have gotten into like homes, shelters, family members' houses, and then they go back to the abuser. There's no like logistical reason for them to do that, and they do it anyways. Some of them get themselves killed doing that. Okay, that's how fucking stupid some people can be about this. And I'm saying stupid not because they're unintelligent, but because they're making stupid decisions based on emotions and neurochemical addictions. You have to treat it like an addiction. Just like sometimes a parent has to say, that my kid is no longer allowed in my house or near me until he goes to rehab because he keeps stealing from me and keeps running back to drugs. Sometimes as a friend, family member, supporter, whatever, you have to cut off your support. Like if they're unwilling to do the steps to fix themselves, you tell them, I can't keep being your friend and being supportive to you and watching you destroy yourself because I'm not helping you. So when you're willing to make actionable decisions to get yourself out of the circumstance, then go ahead, let's be friends again, then let's talk. But I'm not going to keep giving you advice and helping you so that you take my advice and then continue to hurt yourself with my empowering words and actions. And so that's it. And so some people wonder why I'm so harsh on the victims. It's not because I don't have any sympathy or empathy for victims. And this goes male or female. It's because I know that the way out is personal responsibility, and the way out is enough pain where you never want to go back, and where you finally decide I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And this has to do with you guys who are in toxic relationships, who are with narcissists, who are with BPD girls, who are with abusive women, and this has to do with you women who are choosing abusive men, okay, both mentally, emotionally, and or physically. All right, I want you to get out of that, but I know my sympathy will not help you. All right, so hopefully if you're listening to this and you're in this situation, or if you have a friend who is, or a family member, hopefully they've gotten to a point where the pain is so great that they're unwilling to tolerate it anymore, and now they're willing to do action. If that's the case, help them do the action. Don't just offer words and, actions of sympathy so they can continue to do the old bad behavior patterns. Thanks for tuning in. Jam the like button, subscribe to my stuff. I want to get to more subscribers, okay? I have a number in my head I want to get to, and I can get this information out to more people who need it. So please like and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in.